The biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I mean, with all that talk of being the Prince of Darkness, where do you think Ozzy is today?
Wherever he wants to be. I'm sure he was given a choice.
Ozzy Osbourne dead at 76.
Ozzy, we bloody love you.
You know what was funny whatever. It was, he did this like farewell show, but it was last week. It was something like that. It was like last week or 10 days ago or something.
They probably knew that the end was coming. He's battled Parkinson's.
Yeah, he's had Parkinson's for quite some time. Yeah, and you know, of all the Osbournes, like the fact that we had to get, like, Ozzy was a treasure, Sharon was interesting, and then I could have just totally done without the kids. Yeah, I did not need to have brats. I did not need to have those guys in my life.
Shocking that Ozzy's kids would be spoiled brats. But yeah, we knew of Ozzy as the Prince of Darkness, the guy that bit the head off a rat. You know,
I thought it was a bad
Black Sabbath, his solo work, but watching his reality TV show on MTV gave us a whole nother look behind the scenes, and he was a strange dude, man.
He was
a character.
What was crazy was he looked like he was fried and unavailable.
We know.
And then he would perform.
He lived a
like,
hard lifestyle for many, many years.
But he would perform, and you'd be like,
it took its toll.
Holy cow. Because, like, even then, after he...
Anyway. Yeah, he would mumble and like, Sharon.
And then he'd get on stage and he'd turn into the Prince of Darkness. There you go.
And then...
It's crazy. Well,
quite a performer. I mean, do you think about the impact he had on rock and roll and also the impact he had on pop culture in the United States and throughout the world? Left quite a mark. So one of those incredible entertainers and artists that their impact will live on.
Yes. So it was a rare moment where I was able to break the news to JJ on the air. Very awkward. Sorry. I knew you guys were close. So Ozzy Osbourne dead at the age of...
I'll never tell anybody to turn down some Black Sabbath.
No, of course not. Our show brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Give it a shot today. Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and many other retailers in the refrigerated section. Go check it out for yourself. Let's kick off the hour here. We've been previewing some of the opponents for this season for all the different teams here, and we talked about we've talked Wyoming, we talked Stanford. We're doing this kind of non-conference whip around here, and joining us on the program right now, Stephen Igoe. East Carolina football hoists the colors at 24/7 Sports. Let's get to it right here. It's the top of the hour. It's the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Doug Smith brings you this portion of the show, an incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, and now Mitsubishi in the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. Stephen Igoe, East Carolina football is his specialty. Stephen, thanks for joining us, man. A weird day, too, because also a byline that you probably didn't catch yourself having to write. You've got 3 East Carolina football players that have been arrested now after shots were fired and the police were called. Give us a little bit of an idea of what was going on in Greenville there.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me, guys. And, yeah, interesting situation. And really, it's been several off seasons since I've had to cover a story like that, which, I guess is kind of atypical of college sports. If you look across the country at times, it seems like you have at least one of these incidents every couple of years. But it's been several years since East Carolina had an issue. But, the main story is 2 potential starting defensive linemen, J.D. Lampley and Preston Carr, were amongst the 3 players. All the charges are misdemeanors, not to try to blow it off because it is a serious situation. But I don't know what the long-term ramifications of this are. The police report's still coming out. It sounds like they were basically messing around like college kids and, made a mistake they probably shouldn't have, and hopefully we'll learn from it. They are suspended indefinitely from the team with camp starting next week. And, the defensive line was already a question mark for East Carolina. So if these guys are suspended for the first, 2, 3, 4 games of the season, which I haven't gotten any clarification on that yet, that'll be a big blow because defensively, as I'm sure we'll talk about, will be a massive question mark for the ECU football team in 2025.
It's a program that probably doesn't want that kind of a distraction right now because there's good feelings there with the Pirates, considering the way they ended the season last year, winning 4 of their last 5 games, including a bowl game over NC State, beating a Power 4 team in a bowl game. What's the momentum and the feeling right now with this program, regardless of what happened today entering this season?
Yeah, really, until this incident happened, it's been extremely positive. I mean, Blake Harrell, he was the interim coach last year when Mike Houston was fired midseason, and Mike Houston was coming off a 2-10 campaign the year prior. Now, he had gotten ECU to back-to-back bowl games, so he had earned some grace, but they just got shellacked by in-state foe Charlotte, and that was kind of the game that got him fired, even though it was after the Army game they pulled the trigger. And, Charlotte, a very young program, ECU, a traditional, program in North Carolina, and, that just did not sit well with donors losing to Charlotte 2 years in a row. So they pulled the trigger midseason. Blake Harrell kind of got a favorable schedule, but also had to rally the troops and did so in pretty incredible fashion. That also coincided with the insertion of Caden Hauser at quarterback the second half of the season. He took off. You had a first-year offensive coordinator in John David Baker, who runs, the kind of a combination of the Lane Kiffin and Art Briles offense. Really spread out horizontally, fast-paced, and that took off with Hauser being inserted at quarterback. So they put up some huge offensive numbers. They had a pretty veteran defense, and it all clicked under Harrell. He got the full-time job. So the vibes have been pretty awesome ever since until recently. But I still think overall the program's got a lot of momentum. People are excited about Blake Harrell. He's a player's coach. He relates very well to the fan base. And as you guys know, that can change with a few losses. But I still think the program is in pretty good hands right now.
So one of the interesting things with this BYU and East Carolina series is that we've seen enough of East Carolina over the past decade. If you're a BYU fan, the last thing you want to see is East Carolina show up in Provo or there in Greenville, because this is an East Carolina team that beat Provo most recently beat BYU in Provo most recently on a last-second field goal, and that's obviously And then in 2017, one of the rare really bad seasons for Kalani Sitake, his worst as a head coach. East Carolina there in Greenville get the win there, and now BYU goes back and has to play East Carolina again. I guess in a sense, this is the biggest opponent that's coming into Greenville that there's probably been in quite some time.
Definitely. I mean, NC State came in 22. North Carolina's came, a couple times over the last handful of years, and regionally, those are probably the biggest opponents, at least, since in the last 5 years. And then I would say BYU in the last 2-3 years for sure, easily. I mean, ECU before college football has kind of gone down this path, had a lot of home and homes with kind of regional Power 4 conferences, but that's somewhat gone by the wayside. I mean, they do have Wake and NC State, and I think West Virginia was scheduled to come in. They ended up buying the game out. So I was kind of worried, would BYU look to do that? But yet here we are, we're playing this game, and BYU has a very favorable non-conference schedule. I mean, I think this is probably their toughest non-conference game, assuming Stanford doesn't, figure it out somehow out of nowhere. But, yeah, so it's a tricky game for them. It's an exciting game for ECU. BYU does get a bye before this game, which I think will help, but they still have to travel. I think the place will be pretty jumping. If you're East Carolina, you do have – you open at NC State. You're going to be an underdog there despite just beating them. Then they do get an FCS game in week 2, but then they go to Coastal before hosting BYU. So that Coastal game's a little tricky. I think if ECU's 2-1 at minimum going into the BYU game, the place will be buzzing. If they're 1-2, maybe not. But I would expect that game to be very well attended, a big opportunity for East Carolina. Obviously, I would assume maybe a national TV game, somewhere on ESPN, ESPN2. Just given the brand of BYU, but I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of Pirate fans are as well.
Looking at your quarterback, he's going to have a challenge against this BYU defense that was the best in Big 12 last year. Tell us more about Caden Hauser, where his development's at, what he accomplished last year, and what they expect from him this season.
Yeah, Hauser is he is a West Coast guy. But he's technically originally from Vegas, so I guess he's more of a Vegas guy. But he moved out to to Bosco Prep in California and was originally committed to Boise. Then he flipped to Michigan State, went there as a very young freshman, and just had a bad experience during the Mel Tucker situation. Kind of took some heat when he wasn't really the culprit there towards the end of that season. He hit the portal, ended up going to ECU, and I just thought from the get-go talking with him after he committed that he was a great fit mentally for East Carolina. ECU's kind of built on having that chip on the shoulder mentality, and that only fueled him more when he didn't win the job last year. And really, look, I watched a lot of practices in the preseason. I was pretty stunned when they named Jake Garcia the starter. And when Hauser ran with the job midseason, I wasn't surprised, and it may have cost Mike Houston his job looking back at it. But either way, he's not – nothing's really that sexy with him, and maybe that's why he didn't win the job. He's kind of just – he's definitely more of a gunslinger pocket passer guy, but he's mobile enough. If you watch any of the Military Bowl highlights, if you don't account for his legs, he can beat you there. And, look, he was a really good navigator of the offense. He just gets ECU – into the right reads. This is a heavy RPO-based offense. So you need somebody who can identify what the defense is doing. He's extremely intelligent. So nothing really jumps off the page about him, but he's a smooth operator. And if he limits the turnovers, which ECU led the nation last year in giveaways, still had 8 wins, I think they can be pretty explosive offensively this year.
What makes it – I mean, I think that, anytime you hit the road and you go 2 time zones, that's a tough go, but – what is it about, what fans give there in Greenville and what East Carolina delivers as a team? Like, it seems like they punch up to that opponent no matter how big they are.
Yeah, that's kind of been ECU's mantra. Definitely back in the 90s when Steve Logan was the coach, they would, quite honestly, they would play above their heads and like take out the Miamis and Virginia Techs and West Virginias of the world, and then lose the next week to UAB, Southern Miss, et cetera. So that's kind of what they got known for. But I don't know. It's just always kind of been that mentality, like little brother. You think about it. You got NC State, you've got North Carolina, you've got Wake Forest and Duke, all in the state, and ECU has always kind of been like the redheaded stepchild for a long time. And so like it's kind of that mentality. And so when they do get an opportunity, historically, I would say less so in recent years, although they are getting back to this. They do play up to the competition, and historically when they get a big opponent like a BYU at home, it's a fun atmosphere. It is a great tailgating atmosphere. I highly encourage any BYU fans that can make the trip. It's a fun place to watch a game. The stadium holds 50,000. It's a great venue for a Group of 5 school. And I will say too as well, as somebody who went to Provo a couple years ago to cover that crazy game on a Friday night, one of the best experiences of my writing career, just covering that game. Awesome atmosphere as well in Provo. So I think it's a pretty unique series. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like, all right, why is this game being played? But I kind of enjoy it, from the outside looking in a little bit.
Yeah, and as you know, BYU fans travel well. A lot of East Coast BYU fans will make that trip, so the atmosphere should be great when they play on September 20th. And BYU is going to be breaking in a new quarterback. That'll be game 3 for whoever the new starter is, assuming they stay healthy. What kind of defense are they going to be facing when they see the Pirates? What are you guys bringing? What are the Pirates bringing back, and what are some of the concerns that BYU should have with their defense?
Honestly, the defense, if you have a concern about it, I guess it would almost be the unknown at this point, which could be a good thing too, because they almost lost almost every significant contributor, especially at corner and a defensive line. Linebacker and safety, I think they're okay. They do return Jamarlee Riddle at safety, who I think has a chance to be an all-conference guy. And they've got some linebackers coming back that I think have a chance to be pretty good. But their whole D-line, they really had started a group of like 4 or 5 guys since their freshman season, since 2020. So all those guys graduated at the end of last year, so they're gone, besides J.D. Lampley, who was one of the guys who got in trouble this past weekend. So he's kind of a stud defensive end, so it's a big deal if he'll be available or not. But defensive line is a question mark. Corner is a massive question mark. It wasn't a great position to begin last year anyways, and they lost Savone Ravel, who was a potential first-round pick, to an ACL, and then after that it was kind of scramble mode the rest of the season. And a lot of those guys ended up transferring. The corners coach left. So that room is complete reset. They took a ton of older transfers, as you guys know, who knows with the portal? Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. We'll see. They have a new D coordinator. Josh Aldridge came over. He was an assistant at Ole Miss. He was a former coordinator at Liberty. I think one of the years they may have played BYU in the past in 22. So there's some familiarity there potentially. But Aldridge is similar to Blake Harrell, who was the DC before getting the head coach job. They'll be aggressive. They'll be very multiple. He's sharp. So I would say almost an advantage for ECU, and the disadvantage is the unknown. You've got a lot of new personnel, but also a lot of different ways this thing could go and ways they could line up come game day.
We cover the Big 12. Obviously, we were down at Big 12 Media Days in Dallas a couple weeks ago, and they didn't let us do the media poll because we were so bad at it the year before. We got
fired.
We got fired from doing the media poll because the guessing that the media did wasn't very good. The preseason media poll that the American did, where do they sit this year for that 2025 year, or have we seen that yet?
So funny that you mentioned that. So we have media days coming up, actually starting Thursday in Charlotte, and apparently we got fired as well because there will be
what's the deal?
There'll be no media poll for the American this year because nobody had Army winning it last year, so we all look like idiots.
Yeah.
Here's the truth, though. In our defense in the media, how do you even know anymore because of the transfer portal? Like Utah State here in Utah has 86 new players this year. 86. How can you predict anything anymore?
You can't. I mean, really, like I understand. I get both sides of it because as a writer, like I do find it fun to do all this research and try to make a prediction, and like it gives us something to write. And as you guys know, hosting radio gives you something to talk about. So like when you take that away, that kind of hurts. But also, in the grand scheme of things, it is really kind of pointless if you think about it. Like especially now, there's so much change. Really, it's all based on, all right, does this team have their quarterback coming back? How many returning starters? And you kind of go from there, and then like you just rank them. So I get why they're getting rid of it, but I do have to say I will miss it because I'm trying to rank. Hey, where do these random schools like Rice, North Texas? I kind of enjoy slotting them in. 10th, 11th, 12th, seeing how it all kind of falls.
The Temple Owls, don't forget about them. All right,
exactly. Yep.
It's always fun to be able to make these predictions, but now it's like the new thing. It's like none of the media polls. We're all getting fired from making our predictions because it's so hard to make those predictions. But here we are trying to figure this thing out. And East Carolina and BYU are going to face off in a non-conference or out-of-conference matchup between the two. BYU heads to East Carolina again. And listen, if you're wondering about what this series was, it's 1-2 for BYU. They've only won one of those games out of the three. They're hoping to, at the very least, even the series all time against the Pirates.
BYU's never lost to Oklahoma, but they're 1-2 against East Carolina. Go figure.
Gardner Minshew will do that to you back in 2017.
Actually, they did lose against Oklahoma 2 years ago.
Oh, They did. Yeah, that's right. Stephen, we appreciate it. Stephen Igoe covers East Carolina, and he gives us a little bit of insight onto the Pirates. And so, thanks for your help today, man, and good luck. And we'll catch you in that second week of the season here for the Cougs.
Appreciate it, guys. Enjoy being on. Yeah, we'll reconnect in September, I'm sure.
There you go.
Best of luck.
Absolutely. We'll see how this one goes. Stephen Igoe, East Carolina. It's interesting to get to know these. And yeah, when you get back, here's what's funny, and BYU fans will probably do this too. 2017, they get their butts handed to them there in Greenville, and I was doing the pre and post game shows on the for the actual BYU network, and I'll tell you, it was dark times.
Yeah, it was a rough year
because then they also come back to Provo. They have a homecoming game against UMass, and they lose that game against UMass. This was 2017's Kalani's second year. They won 9 games his first season. They come in, and this one, it was that East Carolina game was terrible. And then you think, okay, well, then they get past all that and they figure it out. But 2022, and Jaron Hall was a senior. They lose to East Carolina at home on a Friday night. East Carolina comes. Do you remember the field goal, too, that was kicked?
Yeah.
It was like a foot over the bar. It was like a 33-yard attempt. It was kicked super flat. And it was just like, okay, I guess. And it snuck through, and it was with no time left. East Carolina wins in Provo on a Friday night after they came on a short week.
That was a good BYU team, too.
It should have been. Well, yeah, they just underperformed. At that point, I think they were 3-5 in the season or
Yeah, I remember they were able to flip. Isn't that before the Boise?
Yes.
Was that the Puka Nakua?
Yes, it
Okay.
was. Yes, and
That was
got-
a turning point for the program.
it was, and they had to, the Boise win, and then they go to Stanford, and they beat up Stanford on that last game of the season.
But that East Carolin, you're right. That East Carolin would they lost 0 for October, if I remember right?
Yes, exactly.
They had to have
Terrible.
that Boise State game. I heard rumors about how important that Boise State game was. People's jobs are on the line. That's how important that catch was by Puka Nakua.
I'm trying to think too. Hinkley Ropati basically had to show up for that game. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
My goodness. All right. JJ, let's take a break. Before we do, though, we're letting people know this is one of the funnest events that is ever held in the state of Utah at the State Fair Park. Coming up, of course, you can get tickets now. July 22nd starts today through the 26th. So not just your 24th of July holiday, but everything surrounding it. Starting today at Utah State Fair Park, the Utah Days of 47 Rodeo. Get your tickets right now. If it's anything that if you've ever watched all the things that they do, I'm talking about everything. We've already chatted with world champion steer wrestler, but the team roping, the saddle bronc riding, the barrel racing, the breakaway roping, the bull riding, the tie down roping, all of it is centered over here at one of the best rodeos in the entire country. It's Utah Days of 47 Rodeo happening right now through the 26th. Get your tickets right now. UtahDaysOf47Rodeo.com. That's UtahDaysOf47Rodeo.com. We will come back. We've got more to go around the corner. Stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Ozzy Osbourne, dead at the age of 76. Here comes the drop, though. Yeah.
That's what you wait for.
You might have thought to yourself for a minute, is this the Motab with all this organ music? No, it is not.
I felt like Tales from the Crypt. Thought Vincent Price was going to start talking at any moment.
Evil lurks behind the doors. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne dead at the age of 76.
Bummer.
Yeah, I mean that guy lived 50 lifetimes. Am I wrong? I can't believe. I mean, you bite the head off of a bat on stage, you're likely to get rabies. Was it a bat? Was it a bird?
It was a bat, and he did get a rabies shot a few days later. It happened. It's real.
You got to be on some stuff, man. And he was.
There's no doubt.
And he was.
He seemed to be proud of it and discussed it openly and fought those demons for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it was wild. Wild stuff. So
Don't do drugs, kids.
There you go. By the way, you can nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week award. How do you do that? Well, you just go to KSLSports.com/contests, and you can listen every Thursday afternoon. JJ and I read the winners off right there, and we celebrate the efforts of those people making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week award. Sponsored by the folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Appreciate their sponsorship on this program because it's been awesome to be able to honor some of those great sports volunteers. I got an email from, you sign your kids up and there's an age group that's got like 5, they got to have 5 teams or something like that, or a lot of teams for one of the younger age groups for football. And they're like, we're still looking for that one coach. And it's tough because I would love to coach. You know what I mean? And I've coached baseball. I've done some things, but like our time frame is just the absolute worst.
Usually those practices will end up going after school. Like I've wanted to do youth football as well, and
between now it's they practices start at 5 and they go till 7:30, and
so you've already started up. The teams, UC conference teams down where I live, they have tryouts starting Friday night.
Yeah, so
the day after Pioneer Day.
No, so they'll
which
do.
A lot of people are thrilled about.
They're loving it. Yeah. No, we haven't started yet. They'll get their teams assigned to them this week, and then they'll get a call from the coach.
Do they have tryouts in your league?
They do for certain age groups, but not the youngest ones.
Okay.
They just get put. They'll have them come out and throw the football around. And they kind of look and they.
Okay.
Like, I want that kid. I want that Kirry kid who's got that wild look in his eye.
He looks like he's juicing.
It's like I have an insane third grader. I say that he's an insane third grader. He is a wrecking ball, and he just is. He has no idea. I mean, he's a smaller kid.
Good little athlete.
Deacon's a good athlete. And Hank is too. These guys they'll put a hat on you. You know what I mean? They don't know, and they're the kids too that they get hurt. When they get hurt at home, they'll cry and tell you that. But if they get hurt like on the football field, it's just they swallow it. You know, there's
tough.
You're like, dude, I see your bone hanging out of your ankle, and they're like, I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out.
I'm fine, Dad.
Yeah, I'll be good. So I'm looking forward to football season, but we always love that, when people make that extra effort for those kids, phenomenal job. So do we have tickets to give away for real? What is today? It's a Ticket Tuesday?
Hopefully they're not for an Ozzy Osbourne concert.
Oh, boy, come on. Too soon, my guy. And by the way, if you think we're not going to put Ozzy Osbourne in some lasers or 3D, you're dead wrong. We're going to do it. Absolutely. Call in number 12 right now. Gets a family 4-pack of tickets to see Real Salt Lake taking on the San Jose Earthquakes at America First Field on Saturday. So this Saturday, hoping to get back into the winning ways here. The Real Salt Lake taking on the San Jose Earthquakes on Saturday. You win. Oh, they got fireworks on Saturday night too. That's going to be awesome.
Nice.
Go check it out. Just give us a call right now. Call number 12. That's all you have to do. Just be caller number 12. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-9663. You get a family 4-pack of tickets to see Real take on San Jose. Let me see here. There was an interesting article that was punched up about the NBA teams, every NBA team's biggest roster mistakes since the year 2020. All right? Now, among some of the other things that are in there, you always want to know what are they going to ding. Now, before you even look, what would you ding the Jazz on when it came to a roster quote-unquote mistake? I think a lot of fans, just because they do the fan reaction thing and they go, getting rid of Jonathan and Rudy, that was the worst. But from the perspective of what we kind of know is the reality, that was a move that brought in quite a bit of assets over the years.
Yeah, but I disagree with this take, and I'll get to it in a minute. I'll let you finish.
The biggest mistake, according to ESPN, that the Utah Jazz made was not trading Lauri Markkanen during the offseason last year. That is wild, right?
Well, you can make the case that they should have traded him right after that All-Star season and gone all in on a tank.
Value would have been good.
Gone all in on a tank.
Yeah.
They did not. So I get the argument, but they did sign Lauri to an extension, and he still could be part of the future of this franchise. And they got to pay somebody.
Yep.
And they chose to pay him. I think it's pretty easy to pick what was the worst pick or what was the worst move or the move that the Jazz did or did not make since 2020. And it happened in the 2020 NBA draft. They had a chance to draft Desmond Bane or Jaden McDaniels, who could have and may have made a huge difference in the backcourt for the Utah Jazz during the end of that Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert era. And things could be quite different had they made the right pick. Instead, they took Udoka Azubuike because in the year 2020, you got to put a premium on centers that can't shoot.
I'm sensing your sarcasm here.
They blew it. And the miss there in the draft, I get it. It's pick 27 in a draft, but a lot of people knew that Desmond Bane was exactly what the Jazz probably needed at that time. Or Jaden McDaniels with his length. They needed a wing presence. Remember the Clippers series where they didn't have the wing presence? Mike Conley gets hurt. Your backcourt's small. Yeah, that draft, the opportunity they had there to add a quality player in that spot in a good draft was a big miss for them and contributed to the end of that era, which is why we're in this position today. So not trading Lauri,
could be worse.
Not drafting Desmond Bane or Jaden McDaniels, which was a much bigger mistake.
Yeah, and saying, they didn't trade Lauri. The reality is you can say that's the biggest mistake, but they still have Lauri Markkanen.
I know that's the difference. That's
right?
not a mistake. That's great.
Right, and they signed him to a big deal, and they wanted to, and they want him here. So there's a difference there, right? You can quibble about whether or not they should have gotten rid of him when the value was high or not, but the reality is they've made a commitment to build something around him and add some people maybe who could also be at that level of kind of hopefully all-star level play that you're going to get. By the way, could be worse. Could be the Charlotte Hornets, who signed Gordon Hayward for a 4-year, $120 million contract back in 2020, because that's their biggest mistake, according to this. Now, what was insane about this, just as an aside, I wanted to bring up, what's crazy about that being the Charlotte Hornets' worst is this stat right here. In 6 offseasons this decade, only 2 free agents have signed for more money while changing teams: Gordon Hayward, Paul George, and Fred VanVleet. Think of that list. Paul George, and by the way, Paul George to Philadelphia probably was one of their worst moves, right?
So far.
So you think about what Gordon Hayward did. I mean, he punched his ticket and got paid. So congrats to him. But man, that was crazy. I want to know what the Oklahoma City Thunder mistake was. Okay, according to ESPN, the biggest mistake was trading 4 future rotation players after the 2020 and 2021 draft. See, now at this point,
that's a stretch.
Who
were they?
Here it is. You ready? Emmanuel Quickly.
Okay.
Jaden McDaniels. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Let me see here. Instead, they reached for Jeremiah Robinson Earl. I think that, and Miles McBride. Here's the thing, though. I just think that you look at this. I guess you had the whole article was to basically say, the whole article is to say, yeah, every team's biggest mistake. So you had to find a mistake with one of the best off-season
if that's your worst
teams.
mistake of the last 5 years, that explains why the Thunder are now NBA champions.
Right.
You're really digging deep.
Yeah, and for the Rockets, they said drafting Jalen Green over Evan Mobley. But speaking of Desmond Bane, the Celtics trading Desmond Bane in 2020.
Yeah.
According to this one was their biggest mistake. So I think you've got a lot of teams who have had awful moves. I think you've also had teams who are like, okay, sure, if you're the Raptors, if you're the 76ers, committing $399 million to Paul George and Joel Embiid in 2024, that's a lot.
Boy.
Ooh, that's a big number, isn't it?
And then they got rewarded with a 3rd pick in the draft.
The whole Ben Simmons thing is also weird, right?
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't look at that as a mistake, though, because you didn't know how wildly.
Well, initially, they thought they had a future superstar. He was the Rookie of the Year.
Right. It wasn't like he came in
when
and then
he was healthy.
It's not like he came in and was terrible immediately.
No,
right?
he won the Rookie of the Year in his second year.
And then inexplicably, right. And then inexplicably, we all look around and go, where is Ben Simmons? And then they were going, where is Ben Simmons? And then it was over with.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's crazy. All right.
Fascinating list, though. It
is crazy. Oh, the biggest mistake for the Kings. This one's the hardest one right here. Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox, and then you lose them within 3 years. Both of those guys on your roster, and they're gone.
Yeah.
That's tough.
King's gonna king.
The Bucks trading for Damian Lillard in 23. It's tough. Trading for Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, the Phoenix Suns. I mean, what a mess.
At the time, ESPN's making these graphics of championship.
Despite being vindicated a little bit with some luck during the offseason, the Dallas Mavericks still own the number 1 biggest mistake of all time in the NBA, which is trading away Luka Doncic in 2025.
Nico.
Oh, that happened this year?
We did not forget, Nico. Just because you won the lottery doesn't mean we haven't forgotten.
My favorite part is when he parlayed that luck into being like, I think we finally brought – the fans are finally starting to see the vision that we're catching here.
Oh, my gosh.
Get out of here.
What a jackhole. Serious. Come on, man.
A jackal or a jackhole?
Jackhole.
Yeah, I love it.
I can say that on the radio, right?
Well, you know what? Alex didn't dump it, so yes. He says, please don't do it. I don't know. He's like, I don't know what territory that gets me in, but I don't know.
That's what Jerry Sloan would call jackpotting around. Come on, Nico. Stop jackpotting.
That's a very...
Don't insult us.
Yeah.
We will not forget. Don't act like you're all smarter than everybody else.
We're going to roll out a top 10 when we come back. We'll also remind you that it's time for you to start getting those tickets to the Days of 47 Rodeo, okay? But we'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Thanks for being with us on the program, everybody. So, it's a great tune, by the way. Ozzy Osbourne's voice was pretty unique, though. Like, and it's one of those that's you can spot it immediately. You know what I mean? Like, it's right there. So, pretty awesome.
I prefer heavy metal, late 60s, early 70s Ozzy to the butt rock 80s Ozzy.
I agree.
Just my opinion.
I agree. So I've got a list for you for our top 10, JJ.
Okay.
For you and our esteemed producer Alex can participate in this one. So I've got in front of me sometimes we do the most valuable of things. This is a least valuable of all the NHL teams across the board here. Okay.
Wow.
So
based on valuation.
Based
financial?
on valuation.
Okay.
And honestly, based off of the other thing is like, I mean, it's just a value that, somebody assigns to them. But I have in front of me the least valuable franchises in the NHL.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm going to have you name it off. And I will say, too, that this kind of actually makes them some of the least valuable in North American sports also. I say least valuable. That makes it sound bad. But what I'm saying is that we were talking about how expensive or how much some of these college football programs, just the college football programs, have been valued. And what was Texas? $2.3 billion. Yeah. $2.3 billion. That would put them, for example, like I said, they would be between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Chicago Blackhawks. They would be the number 8 most valuable franchise in the NHL.
That's wild.
Crazy. So let's start the timer up. Our top 10 goes like this. We give you a 60 seconds for both you and our producer Alex to make some inroads here and see who the 10 least valuable franchises in the NHL are. So let's get right to it. Let's jump in right here with your 60-second clock and go.
Winnipeg Jets,
Ding,
Ottawa Senators,
ding.
Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, San Jose Sharks,
Ding.
St. Louis Blues.
Oh, wait, hold on. Ooh. Ding.
Carolina Hurricanes.
Ooh. Ding.
Buffalo. Columbus Blue Jackets.
Ding. Ding. You guys are lacking.
Utah Mammoth.
Ding. You're lacking one more.
Seattle Kraken. Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh, come on.
Who's a poverty franchise that I'm missing?
Actually, you're missing 2. Sorry.
Oh, Minnesota. Oh, gosh.
Nashville.
What would you say? Nashville?
Predators.
Nashville.
Oh, that was
Right on the
really
edge.
delayed.
Right on the
Jeez.
edge.
Pittsburgh Penguins. Dallas Stars. Oh, who else is left? Who have we not said?
There are other teams.
Oh,
in the
man.
NHL.
Tampa, Florida.
Ding. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, who'd we miss?
Who did you miss? I got to go back in. Okay. It wasn't the Tampa. I'm going to remove that. It was not the Tampa Bay Lightning. They used to be. They're not anymore. The Florida Panthers are your 6th least valuable franchise.
That's what I meant.
He
That's
snuck
what you
that
meant.
in.
There was a comment
Oh, sorry.
between-
He snuck that in at the end.
State of Florida.
59 and a half seconds left. He got Florida in there.
The Florida Panthers are number 26 out of the 32.
Okay.
Let me see here. So here are the top 10. The Blues, the Ducks, the Sharks.
The Ducks.
Yeah.
I did mention the Sharks.
The Panthers, the Hurricanes, the hockey club, a.k.a. the Mammoth,
Yep.
right? The Ottawa Senators,
Yep.
the Buffalo Sabres, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it was just the Florida Panthers. I think that you guys at the very end did not, yeah.
Run through them real quick one more time. I think there was one that we missed, but
I know now I'm looking at it. The Preds, Blues, Ducks,
it
Sharks.
was the Ducks we missed.
Yeah, it was the Ducks.
We missed
It was the
one.
Ducks.
It was the Ducks.
But
I
no,
thought-
who said the Panthers?
I just
Nobody
thought
said
in
the
Southern
Panthers.
California.
He said the Tampa. He said the Tampa Lightning. Doesn't. Oh, sorry, comma. All Florida.
He said
teams.
Tampa, Florida. He got it in.
Tampa
He said Florida.
/ Florida. Yeah, Kobe. All right.
At the buzzer. It's a buzzer beater.
The most valuable franchise in the NHL, any guesses? We already talked about it before.
The most valuable is Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Maple Leafs, then the Rangers, then the Canadiens, then the
Montreal.
Kings, Bruins, the Oilers, the Blackhawks and the Flyers, and then the Capitals and the Red Wings.
I'm surprised Calgary's not on the list.
I'm surprised the Capitals are inside the most valuable. If you were to say, the Capitals are in the top 10 or the bottom 10, I would say.
I would have said in the middle.
I would have said the bottom.
Really?
I mean, I know the Capitals are. It's not one of the. It's just not one of the most,
Yeah, until they had Ovechkin, and until like the last decade, they were kind of a poverty franchise. For sure.
Poverty franchise. By the way, I want to remind you that Hans and Scotty are going to be out and about. They're going to be at the Bar W Beef pop-up event going on at the IFA in Spanish Fork, noon to 3 tomorrow. It's your chance to stock up on those summer barbecue beefs with premium Bar W Beef meats. They're going to be at the IFA in Spanish Fork for the Bar W Beef pop-up sale, and so there it is. It's just one of those things, by the way. If you, I don't know. For me, I'm one of those guys that loves to see that Utah beef showing up in a big way, right? I mean, like that's awesome here for us. All right, stay with us. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.